Today we will be discussing how a telenovela star from Mexico is not allowed to return to his country.
Followed by a bizarre twist in an 8-year-long missing child investigation.
And finally, we're bringing you the latest CSUF news, which includes a $38 million addition to the school. All this and more starting now.
Hello and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Ashley Insulin.
I'm Ryan Matthey.
And I'm Leslie Duarte.
Before we get started with our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the discussion this semester. Click the link in our caption of any of the report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your take on any controversial issue that we've talked about now or in the past, as many of these issues are still recurring and evolving. We also have a Twitter account at The Report CSUF, so expect polls, questions, and news updates.
President Donald Trump announced Monday that the U.S. will designate Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard as a foreign terrorist organization. This is the first time the U.S. has designated a part of another nation's government as an FTO. The designation has increased tensions between the two countries. In response, the Iranian government named the U.S. military a terrorist organization as well. CNN correspondent Omar Jimenez has more details on the story.
The administration is designating Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a foreign terrorist organization.
With this designation, the Trump administration is simply recognizing a basic reality.
It's the first time the United States has ever given that title to part of another government.
We're doing it because the Iranian regime's use of terrorism as a tool of statecraft makes it fundamentally different from any other government.
Iran is reciprocating, officially designating U.S. military operating in the region as terrorist groups.
Most previous administrations, including military and intelligence officials, concluded that the gain was not worth what we would risk.
These tensions are the latest tensions between the two countries, but not the only. It comes almost a year after the U.S. pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, reimposing sanctions on the country, just weeks after the U.S. recognized Israeli control of the Golan Heights, and on the eve of Israel's presidential election. Iran's foreign minister tweeting, "Another misguided election eve gift to Netanyahu, another dangerous U.S. misadventure in the region."
It's basically adding a label. It's not actually adding new sanctions. So it doesn't get you much, but what it does get you potentially is provoking a retaliation from the Iranians.
The United States' terror designation for Iran's Revolutionary Guard officially begins April 15th. In Washington, I'm Omar Jimenez.
An American tourist from Costa Mesa and her field guide were taken hostage last week in Uganda. Kimberly Sue Endicott and her guide, John Paul Marang Remeso, were forced to walk across the border to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where they were held captive for 5 days before being rescued by Ugandan security forces. Here's CNN correspondent John Lorick with more information.
Kimberly Sue Endicott is safe once again.
This woman is remarkably lucky. I did not think it would end this way. This is not usually how this terminates.
On Tuesday, the U.S. tourist and her tour guide were abducted in Queen Elizabeth National Park.
Uganda has had a challenge with stability over the years. We've had various ethnic challenges and issues between various communities in this part of the world.
The Ugandan police force says the two are in good health after being rescued by security forces Sunday. The kidnappers repeatedly demanded $500,000, which officials refused to pay.
The government will not pay ransom. It doesn't want to set that precedent, especially in the Congo, because it will encourage more kidnappings. But there's actually nothing the government can do to stop those payments, especially if it's a gang.
However, money was handed over by the Wild Frontiers Touring Company, according to a source with knowledge of the exchange.
That's the quickest way to get out of a situation like this, get somebody back, is pay the ransom. But again, it sets a bad precedent.
President Trump commented on the situation Sunday afternoon, tweeting that he was pleased to report Endicott and her guide were released. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
In 2011, 6-year-old Timothy Pitson went missing in Aurora, Illinois. 8 years later, a person stepped forward claiming he was Pitson. After a DNA test was conducted, authorities confirmed the man was not Pitson, but in fact a 23-year-old Brian Michael Reaney. Reaney has been charged with making false statements to a federal agent. The actual missing child has not been found yet. So, I don't know if you guys have seen the picture of the man, but he does look old.
Like he's 30.
I don't know why
Like a
anybody would
grown man.
believe, like, oh, you're right, this is a 13-year-old child.
But, you know, when this first story came out, what was it, last week? It was kind of weird seeing that picture of that man up there. I was like, he does not look like he
a
aged.
child.
Yeah,
No.
okay. Because according to math and years, he would be 14 years old, and this guy looks like he's 30. So I think the cops were pretty skeptical about that.
Right. Imagine like what the parents of this child who's missing is feeling though. Not only did they have to go through this several years ago, they have to go through it again. And I mean, hopefully not again. But I want to say like, even though this guy is, for lack of a better word, a crazy person, this is bringing, I feel like, some sort of good publicity to this, because now this is possibly a chance for them to reopen this case. And now, you know, possibly this man could have had some sort of contact with this kid who went missing years ago. And so, I don't know. Although it is awful that it's happening, I think it's good that they are possibly being able to reopen this case and bring more attention and bring maybe more facts now than there were, you know, years ago.
And that's a point that I'm glad that you made, because that was in my notes, is that we're shifting the focus from the man who is obviously not the child, but reopening the possibility of finding this child. Like, where would his motive come from to specifically be like, I am this child?
Yeah, and this is very common for people to do this. We had just seen an article on People about 3 different cases where people pretended to be other missing children. One of them is a movie with Angelina Jolie on Netflix, and it tells the story of a boy that went missing in 1928 in Los Angeles. And it's a great story, but it really goes to show that people do this a lot more often than we think. And I feel so bad for the family, what they're going through right now, having to relive this. But according to, if it's really interesting, if you look at what the guy said, he just didn't want to go back to his family. And we're talking about the guy that pretended to be this child. And he said, I just didn't want to go back to my family. And I'm like,
Then go anywhere else. This man is like in his 20s. He is perfectly capable of literally walking anywhere else. Why? What's the point of trying to pretend to be a part of this family?
And
like,
shatter that family. They've already been through the pain of having to accept, like, we have not found this child yet. This member of our family, our blood. And they reopened this whole thing, and now he literally just shattered everybody by being like, I'm not him.
Surprise.
That's horrible.
It is horrible.
Get on with your life. Go do whatever you need to do. You don't want to be around your family, then don't. That is just horrible.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this guy has what's coming towards him. But then hopefully we hope this case will eventually be solved in the near future. Well, moving on to a different story now. Another member of Trump's cabinet has resigned. Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen announced she has submitted her resignation on Sunday. In her letter of resignation, she said, quote, I have determined that it is the right time for me to step aside, end quote. Her departure comes after Nielsen was heavily criticized by the White House since they felt she has not done enough for border security. Here's CNN correspondent Corinne Kafa with more on the story.
I will continue to support all efforts to address the humanitarian and security crisis on the border. And other than that, I'm on my way to keep doing what I can for the next few days.
Kirstjen Nielsen's tumultuous tenure as Homeland Security Secretary coming to a close as President Trump calls for tougher action at the U.S. southern border with Mexico amid a surge in border crossings. Despite reports she was on thin ice with the president, Nielsen was at the border with him late last week. She described her department as being in disaster response and called on Congress to act.
We don't have to solve other parts of immigration that also need to be solved. But right now we have an emergency on our hands. We need to treat it as such.
Nielsen came to the Trump administration as John Kelly's chief of staff when he served as Homeland Security Secretary. She was nominated to the cabinet post in October 2017 and would become a very public face of the administration's controversial zero-tolerance policy at the border, separation of migrant children from detained parents. Upon news of her resignation, Democrats slammed Nielsen's tenure.
She defended it as if it was policy that made sense and then denied that they did it in the first place. And now They can't even find the parents to reunite with these children. It's quite pathetic.
Sunday evening, President Trump announced via Twitter that Kevin McAleenan, currently U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner, will take the role of acting Homeland Security Secretary. In Washington, I'm Karen Kefa.
Telenovela Mexican actor Pablo Leal is being charged with felony batter for punching a man who later died as a result of the road rage confrontation. Lyle is currently being considered for possible manslaughter or second-degree murder charges. The man who died was a 63-year-old Juan Ricardo Hernandez. Lyle was arrested about a week ago and then released on a $5,000 bond. After Hernandez died, his right to travel was revoked in order to reappear in court. Here's CNN correspondent Parker Barton with more.
Surveillance video capturing the moments a passenger gets out of a vehicle knocking out a 63-year-old man after what police are calling a case of road rage. City of Miami police say the man throwing the punch is 32-year-old Mexican telenovela star Pablo Lyle. Investigators said he was in the passenger seat of this red SUV headed to MIA when the driver appears to cut off this blue car at the intersection of Northwest 27th Avenue and 14th Street. Police said the man behind the wheel of that car is Juan Ricardo Hernandez. For me, he was a special person, said his stepdaughter. She described Hernandez as a hard worker who was married to her mother for 30 years and who raised her younger brother. After looking at the video, she said Hernandez should have never gotten out of his car, but she said Lyle had no right to punch her stepfather. Hernandez and the driver are seen exchanging words when the SUV rolls into the intersection, so the driver jumps back in to stop it. That's when the Mexican actor jumps out of the passenger seat, runs toward Hernandez, and punches him out of frame. His stepdaughter outraged after seeing the video. Ricardo already had his back turned to get into the car, she said. Lyle was later located at Miami International Airport and arrested, but according to the arrest report we obtained, he claims he exited the vehicle and confronted the victim to protect his family. Hernandez's stepdaughter said this video tells a different story. If they can give him the maximum amount of years that the law allows, they should.
What do you guys think about this story?
I'm in shock. We talked about this earlier, and you said that he felt like he was being attacked, and that was the reason why he went to punch this man. And when you watch the video, you can clearly see that the encounter is pretty much over, and he's walking away, and he feels the need to go and punch the man after the altercation is pretty much over. He's literally walking away.
Yeah.
I would understand if maybe the person who ended up getting hit maybe was attacking this family or whoever was in this car, but it looked, from at least the video standpoint of it, it didn't look any sort of harm, or didn't look like there was any sort of harm being done. It kind of just looked like this old guy was mad that he got cut off, which is understandable. Like, I would be mad too. If that's me now, that's going to be me 6 years from now. Like, it's a thing. But for this actor to escalate it to the point where he needs to knock this guy out unconscious and then eventually killing him, that's insane. And that it just goes to show how severe road rage in our current time is. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, how are we supposed to like fix people who are having this sort of huge emotional roller coaster from these sort of very small incidences?
I mean, that says a lot about, and I'm talking about the actor, his violence. That says a lot about who he is. And this just didn't come out of being like a decent human being. This was disgusting what he did.
Absolutely.
How do you go and attack somebody for cutting you off or for a simple incident on the road? Just keep on going and keep driving. I mean, it was really disgusting to see this attack come from this guy. And I just cringe at the idea of what this man's character is.
And I cringe as much as well. My grandparents are pretty old, obviously, and they're not the greatest drivers. Like, not that they shouldn't have their licenses, but they're not going 75 and 65 on the freeway, you know, like they're going to stick to the speed limit and follow all the signs, but that doesn't make them bad drivers. That just makes them following the rules. And it scares me every day that somebody is going to do something like this and get upset with them and road rage and things like that. And obviously this altercation is completely drastic from the example I just gave, but the road rage in any sense, how can you get so angry that you feel the need to fight somebody? But there's been incidences like this in Los Angeles where people have such bad road rage that they just shoot somebody. I saw a story about that a few years ago. And it happens, but it's just so crazy that the altercation in the video, the altercation was over and the man is walking away, but he still felt the need to go and punch this man.
Honestly, like, I don't care what age you are, if you have such severe road rage to the point that you are now physically harming someone, you need to have your driver's license revoked. That's not something that you can just be doing on the road.
Your mind checked.
Yeah.
You know, what is wrong with you? Who attacks and such? I don't have road rage. I'm scared of road rage. You cut me off, that's cool. That's go on your merry way.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fight you. I'm not even gonna honk at you. I don't want to die today.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I just stay away as far away from vehicles, and I'm, making my ways around the road. I'm not the best driver, but I'm also not the worst. And I do something wrong, and somebody's like, I'm just like.
I laugh at them when they get mad at me.
I
Like,
just
don't
mind my
get me
own
wrong.
business. I don't.
There's times where like I'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have turned. Like I might have cut somebody off, but then they get so mad, and I just I laugh at them because I'm like, life is so precious, and you're really upset about this. Like, I'm sorry, that might be, but like, come on.
Yeah, I don't let that ruin my day.
Yeah.
No.
2 college students from Oregon have been prosecuted for an overseas iPhone swap scandal. Quan Zhang and Yang Yang Cho would claim the new iPhones by mail, then ship them overseas to be sold for a cut of the profit. The added total for the losses by Apple sums up to nearly $900,000 in iPhone products. Zhang is being accused of trafficking in counterfeit goods and wire fraud, while Cho is accused of submitting false info on an export declaration.
The 54th American Country Music Awards took place on Sunday. The award ceremony featured performances from Carrie Underwood, Kane Brown, and even Khalid. But many people were expecting a performance from Billy Ray Cyrus and Lil Nas with their remix song called Old Town Road. However, some people do not view the song as a country song. The controversy started when Country Billboard took it off as the #1 song for country music. I would like to let the record show this song slaps. It is so good. I don't have any other word to describe how good this song is. And I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's so good, and I don't think we need to put labels on these songs. You can be country, you can be hip hop. ¿Por qué no los dos? You can be both. I don't understand why you are making such a big deal about this.
I love this song.
So
Me
good.
and my roommates have been having such a good time playing with this song and doing ridiculous things.
Yes.
I was trying to do homework last night, and my roommates thought it would be a good idea at 11 o'clock to just throw the song on full blast. My poor neighbors. But it's just like such a fun song. Like the lyrics scream country, but the beat screams hip hop, rap, but it's just so fun. I also would like to point out that we just got schooled and we're told that the lyrics say horses in the back, and we thought it said bag. Thank you.
It's interesting that you say about the beat because Billy Ray Cyrus said, quote on Twitter, he said, "It was obvious to me after hearing the song just one time. I was thinking, what's not country about it?" I'm going to end the quote there, but there's more on Twitter. He thinks it's country. People say it's not country. What do you guys think?
Again, a slapper, and it'll slap till the end of time. And I think this is going to maybe start some sort of a revolution of maybe having a little more hip hop or maybe like rap even influence on country music. Because if I'm being so honest with you guys, I know Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood and Need You Now by Lady Antebellum. That's it. Those are the only country songs I know of because I just don't like country.
I'm right there with you.
I-
I'm not a country music
Yeah.
person,
I
but
love
this song
country.
is so
Good for
fun.
you.
I think the song is very fun. But I also think, going off what you said, that this is going to be like opening new doors. I think this could create a new genre. We have country
Definitely.
rap.
And there's another song by Becky G. I know you like Becky G as much as I do. Kane Brown and Becky G did a song together, kind of a remix in Spanish. But man, I think as for this song, it's a new genre of country, but I just don't. You know what? What does it matter whether it's country or not?
Yeah.
What does it matter whether it's trap, hip hop, country? Everybody is talking about this song, and good for Lil Nas. He's getting his money, okay?
Good for Billy Ray Cyrus
too.
having work. Yeah, like
Yes.
I'm so glad everyone wins in this situation.
Yes,
Like,
and we're
of
loving
course,
the
it's
song.
so good.
Right? Cool. Guys, on to more news about music. The end of spring break for CSUF students ended with some interesting news. ASI announced 2 artists that will perform at the spring concert. Super Duper, Kyle, best known for I Spy, and Cheat Codes will be performing at spring concert. Before you ask who they are, look them up. You actually may know some of their songs.
Here's some more local news for you. CSUF listened to their students finally and will be adding a new parking structure. The new structure will be built over the summer and will be ready for the fall 2020 semester. The structure will feature 1,900 parking spaces and cost $38 million. It will be built next to the east side structure, and the announcement was also met with an increase in semester parking permits, rising from 285 to 334 on July 1st, 2020. I don't know about you guys, I already get really frustrated having to buy my parking passes when I pay a lot of money to go here already. Thank you for finally listening and doing another parking structure, but I pay enough to go here, and the amount that I pay to go here should contribute to that, not raising the parking passes by almost $100.
Wow.
Having to pay for parking alone coming here already really frustrates me because it's a commuter school. And while it is a commuter school, there are a lot of people who do live close to here just because they want the college experience. And speaking as somebody who does that, I pay for school, I pay for my rent, and I have to pay for parking. That is what I personally pay for, but there are people who are paying car insurance, a car payment, gas, everything, groceries, everything else. This is just another added hassle for students.
Definitely expensive. I'm leaving this semester. I'm graduating in May, so I'm listening to you.
I'm still fighting it though.
I'm okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, it's gonna suck for you guys, but I mean, honestly, I never paid for the parking permit. I always found my way, got to school really early because 200 and some coins. No, thank you. I'm gonna save my coins. But why does it cost so much for a parking structure?
What are those increased costs going to? I get it, they need money to build the structure. But putting it on the students, though, it seems not the right way to go. There has to be other ways to fund this. It sounds very negative what we're saying, but we're super fortunate that they are actually now adding all this extra space that we've been asking for as long as I've been here, for years. And I mean, even though it's going to cost a lot, I feel like it will benefit the vast majority of the people who, like you said, you got to come here super early in the morning just to find somewhat of a decent spot. Was this added, 1,900 spots?
That's not that many spaces.
It's not.
Let's be honest.
But it's better than no extra spaces.
That's true.
That's true.
It is very true.
I mean,
and I'm with you. I'm leaving as well, so I'm kind of okay,
yeah.
That's your problem. But at the same time, I still feel for the people who have to deal with this. I've been here for 4 years now, and here I'm that sucks.
Yeah. And you know what, guys? There's other things that they could have done also. How about moving classes to the weekends or putting classes later, spreading out more time so people aren't, driving on campus all at the same time trying to find one parking stall. But, I don't know, guys.
I wish they would have raised the parking permits and put the money towards getting better spring concert artists.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's definitely a personal issue. Man.
Personal. I mean, not
I
wrong,
had to be the one to say it.
Yeah. We were thinking it, but you said it, Aisling. Anyways.
I will say it.
Well, I know you guys won't be around for it, but hopefully you come back and you see how pretty it is once it's all said and done. And just like that, that's all the time that we have today on The Report. Have a great week, everyone, and stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Ryan Matthey.
I'm Leslie Duarte.
And I'm Aisling Insulin. Stay fresh, Fullerton.